Gaura Haribol, Nitai Gaura Haribol. Thank you, Madam. Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gaura Vani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskata Desatamine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Swasati Gaura Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. Let's have that. We start chapter 8, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, from chapter 8.
Okay, chapter 8, Bombay and Calcutta. Let's put this here. 1 second. Okay. Okay, so chapter 8, Bombay and Calcutta, January 9, 1976. Hare Krishna Land, Juhu Beach, Bombay. Madhuvisa Swami phoned early today, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj informed him that Prabhupada is not feeling well enough to travel the long distance to Melbourne. Although extremely disappointed, Madhuvisa withdrew his request for Prabhupada to attend. Despite his weak health, Srila Prabhupada is still willing to go if the Radha Yatra arrangements are dependent on his personal presence. Only after receiving Madhuvisa's assurance that the festival could go on without him did he finally decide not to go. Prabhupada was more concerned that the preaching carried on unhampered than about his own comfort. He spent a quiet day foregoing even his morning walk. In answering this mail, Prabhupada reiterated to Nitai in Vrindavan that he wants all his students to take Bhakti Shastra examinations. He requested Nitai to prepare a guide to deity worship called Archana Padati, based on the Hari Bhakti Vilasa by Sanatana Goswami. He asked him to have it ready by Gaur Purnima festival. Nitai reported that the transport will be drawn up and will be submitted soon, and that already some high qualified men have applied for the position of principal. Prabhupada said that he would consider who to appoint later when the school is actually built. There was also a long letter from Tushta Krishna Swami in New Zealand. He and his men are preaching vigorously and have launched several new projects as well as developing their farm. He has opened a vegetarian restaurant with money that a boy inherited from his family beef farm. They had good publicity from the press and on television, and he also has plans to start a Vedic university as part of his development of a Varnashrama community. In one short paragraph, he also affirmed his desire to distribute Prabhupada's books, although he mentioned some devotees were hesitant due to previous pressure put on them to collect certain quotas each day. A main point of contention between Tushta Krishna faction and the body of devotees is that they dislike the major emphasis that ISKCON leaders and devotees place on the importance of book distribution and the pressure sometimes applied to encourage devotees to distribute the books. Pleased with their preaching efforts, Prabhupada sent a long letter in reply. Dealing with the report point by point, he especially stressed the importance of book distribution. So far, the devotees being hesitant to distribute books on account of pressure. Sometimes pressure is required, especially when only it's not so advanced. Of course, it has to be applied properly. Otherwise, there may be some bad taste. But spontaneous service can only be expected from advanced devotees. It is Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi means must. Sometimes a devotee promise a plate of Mahaprasada for the biggest distributor. There's no harm. Actually, one should try to serve Krishna to his or her full capacity without thought of reward. Service is itself the reward, but this takes time to actually realize. And until that platform is achieved, some pressure or inducement is required. He was pleased about the opening of the restaurant, but cautioned him that it should not be simply a place for promoting vegetarianism. We should not waste time encouraging vegetarianism as opposed to meat eating. We want to encourage prasadam taking, and that is automatically vegetarian. Happy about the proposal to start a Vedic university, Prabhupada outlined to Tushta his recent plans for instituting examinations within the society and explained that anyone who wants to become a Brahmana will have to sit for an examination once a year at Mayapur. At the same time, he also pointed out that in our Vedic universities, we will not encourage anyone to become merely a bookworm. There must be life, rising early in the morning, attending Mangwar, taking prasad, etc. The man who study will be a Brahmana. the farmer will be Pasha. In this way, there will be divisions, but they're all one in the service of Krishna. The next one, please.
Anushka Mata.
January 10th, 1976. Prabhupada felt a little better this morning. He took his walk following the usual route along the beach and enjoyed a long and interesting talk with a local movie director. Bombay is the center of India's film industry, the third biggest in the world. Many people connected with the movie trade are now becoming interested in the activities of ISKCON. This particular man was polite and receptive, but had many philosophical misconceptions about spiritual matters, which he allowed Srila Prabhupada to correct. During the massage, Tamal Krishna Goswami went over to the day's mail. He read out a letter from Yamuna Dasi. She and Deenatarini Dasi have a small farm in Oregon. On Srila Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati's disappearance day, Jayatirtha installed deities of Sri Sri Radha Banabihari there. They are hoping to start an ashram for senior women, and they requested financial assistance from the BBT to buy a place. Their idea is to have about 12 women and gradually begin a preaching program. Yamuna, however, did express some apprehension, admitting generally women are mad after sense gratification, to dip and gossip, so thus we feel to proceed with careful attention. In a separate letter to Jayatirtha, also inquired whether a BBT loan could be given for the ladies' project. He said that the costs $100,000, requiring a down payment of $25,000. He wanted to know what priority Prabhupada gives to this kind of project, suggesting that he might help oversee managerial and financial matters. He also suggested that Yamuna and other ashram members could earn some income and help support themselves by buying BT clothes for traveling parties. Prabhupada's personal opinion is that a woman should not live independently. Why don't they go to LA? He asked Tamal Krishna. Nevertheless, since they are eager to begin the project, he encouraged them. You can attract the fair sex community. Most of them are frustrated being without any home or husband. If you can organize all these girls, they will get transcendental engagement and may not be allured to the frustrations of life. Your engagement should be chanting and worship of the deity. He also tactfully laid down strict guidelines for the ladies to follow, stressing that as single women, they should live very humbly and not dress nicely to attract men, nor attempt to start any large program. In Bhakti, there is no grotesque program. A humble program is better. We are doing all these grotesque programs to allure the masses. My Guru Maharaj used to say that no one hears from a person coming from a humble, simple life. You remain always very humble. To Jayatirtha Prabhu, however, he spoke more candidly, describing their desire to be independent as a defect. He further elaborated on this by saying that according to Vedic culture, a woman cannot live independently. He decided that if they wanted this badly enough, he would allow it. But they must function managerially and financially independent of ISKCON. Although he concerned that Jayatirtha could check on them now and then to see if they were chanting and following the rules of the society. He also made it clear there could be no connection whatsoever with sannyasis. Vishwakarma Das, the Toronto president, sent a report detailing the successful purchase of a large church on a main street in the heart of Toronto. Last year, Srila Prabhupada told them to try to purchase it, and despite great opposition from the clergy, they completed the deal by having some enthusiastic Indian members conduct the negotiations. It cost $400,000 in total, and although the temple only provided $80,000 deposit, they were able to secure the rest as mortgages. Now they plan to reinstall Sri Radha Kheer Chor Gopinath in mid-January. Srila Prabhupada was delighted and considered the purchase of the church a great victory, a topmost triumph. Christianity is now declining, he wrote. Therefore, they are having to sell all their churches to us because they have no clear idea of God. People are not satisfied with them, but we can explain what God is. So people are appreciating more and more about our movement. Now, by Krishna's grace, you have a beautiful temple. Use it to preach very vigorously. If you all strictly follow the principles and chant 16 rounds, your spiritual strength will be ensured and our movement will become increasingly prominent. On hearing that over 200,000 cars per day pass by the church, Prabhupada recommended that they immediately erect a neon sign with the flashing words of the full Mahamantra on it. He said it will be a great achievement if they can accomplish this. Prabhupada also acknowledged receipt of a 5-page report from Vishwakarma describing the activities of a Swami Bon, Prabhupada's godbrother. Apparently, Bon Maharaj visited some of the universities in North America, openly criticizing Srila Prabhupada and his books. He also advised professors not to use the books. Srila Prabhupada told Vishwakarma that in the future we should completely avoid him and have no further connection with him.
Okay,
Jashamati Nandan also.
Mata, let's give chance to other devotees also. Yes, Keshu Mata.
Hare Krishna to everyone. Okay. Yashomati Nandana also sent an update on his attempts to secure a suitable center in Ahmedabad. The building he had taken Srila Prabhupada to see had traveled several defects, and since then he has located a much better place in the city center, but it is only available initially for a 3-month period. The owners are thinking of using it for some charitable cause, so Prabhupada encouraged him to accept it despite the time limit. Even if you can stay only 3 months, what is the loss? You can always look for another place. New people are seeing how genuine our movement is. They are coming forward to offer us so many places. We simply have to maintain our strict principles, keeping ourselves pure. Otherwise, there are so many bogus institutions doing business in the name of God and simply cheating the people. We have to be careful not to degenerate like these others. Our strength depends upon regular chanting the required 16 rounds and rigidly adhering to the regulated principles. Prabhupada recently received some material via Bhagavati in Vrindavan, translated into Hindi by Narsiha Vallabha Goswami. Bhagati also reported that negotiations for establishing a bank branch in our temple are now in the last stage. The head office has agreed and they are only waiting for approval from the Reserve Bank. Satisfied with the progress on the bank, Prabhupada wrote Bhagati to settle terms with the Goswami regarding his books. Rishikesha Prabhu has completed his article Spiritual Dialecticism. Prabhupada is so pleased with it that he had it sent to Rameshwara in Los Angeles today with a request that it be printed in Back to Godhead magazine. He also suggested that if they receive a good response from the article, it can be released as a small book. In the early evening, Prabhupada called me to give him a dry, full body massage. He is not feeling well and took rest at 8 p.m. I felt frustrated that I was unable to help him in any way. Then, amazingly, at 9:30 p.m., he got up and continued his translation work throughout the entire night. January 11, 1976. Prabhupada obviously felt better this morning. The movie producer came down to the beach again and engaged Prabhupada in a lively debate. He was not shy to express his thoughts and opinions, but he listened with great respect and attention to Prabhupada's responses. Prabhupada was so enlivened by the man's questions and challenges that the walk took much longer than usual. We recorded 2 full sides of depth on the reel-to-reel recorder. Prabhupada showed no signs of illness, and at the end of the walk, he seemed stronger than ever. A letter arrived today from Bahudaka Venkawar. Bahudaka Venkawar Temple President, giving a positive report of university preaching and increased Sankirtan activity despite some initial reluctance from the school faculty to have them. They have given many classes to the students and were received favorably that many teachers invited them back. For the last year, Bahudaka has been overseeing the development of a new farm, but he recently returned to the city center in order to encourage book distribution, which has seriously dwindled. He is personally going out on book distribution 2 days a week and expressed the sentiment that all SCON leaders should do this, both as an example to others and for their own enlightenment. Prabhupada liked his report. He called the struggles of his other Canadian center in Toronto in getting the church property. Then he pinpointed the reason for the opposition. Our movement is authorized. Our books are based on the statements of the most exalted devotees, and if we follow strictly the guidelines for devotional service as they are given in the Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, then no one can touch us. All the groups are declining, including the Christians. We are being harassed by the authorities, and they are all Christians because they are losing ground and we are increasing. They are trying to stop us. There is always a battle between the demons and the devotees, but the devotees always win because they are protected by Krishna. Prabhupada also accepted some new candidates for initiation, as he has been repeatedly doing in many letters recently. He stressed the importance of becoming fixed up in the philosophy by regular study. He also mentioned the upcoming Shastra examinations. In response to Bahudaka's question regarding the use of the harmonium, he asserted that the harmonium is only to be used for chanting in bhajan, provided it is played melodiously. He said it is not to be played for kirtan or arti. Hare Krishna. Okay, one line is I will do. During the day, he relaxed, taking advantage of the absence of visitors to read, chant, and converse his energy. In the evening, he gave the Sunday face lecture in Hindi. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Dan Prabhu.
January 12th, 1976. Dr. Patel joined us on the walk this morning. In his usual boisterous manner, he often interrupted Prabhupada before Prabhupada could finish what he was saying. Sometimes he was so eager to speak that he couldn't get his words out at all. His overly familiar manner with Srila Prabhupada sometimes annoys us disciples and leads to a little friction between him and us. But Prabhupada has infinite tolerance, born from his eagerness to help others advance in their spiritual lives. He sees only the good in others, and this morning his liberal and friendly dealing was clearly manifest. Dr. Patel has been energetically defending the position of medical science and its practitioners against Srila Prabhupada's criticisms. He insisted that they do not claim to be able to save life, nor is that even their goal. His opinion was that they are simply trying to help people live the limited life they have in a better way. He felt that Prabhupada's impressions of atheistic scientists was a thing of the past. He compared them favorably to previous impersonalist Vedic philosophers, declaring that nowadays most scientists accept there is a God or some superior force. Srila Prabhupada countered that imperialism is also atheism. One of the doctor's companions objected. The man held the typical impersonalist view that jhana, the cultivation of knowledge, is superior to bhakti, devotion of a medical hold on. Where I lost my spot.
Devotion to the Supreme
to the Supreme
Personality.
Personality of Godhead. Yeah. After taking Prabhupada's permission, it was Dr. Patel who explained to the man that the Vaishnava concept that God is ultimately realized as the Supreme Person is correct. He described the progression of realization from Brahman and Paramatma to Bhagavan. Then he declared that as little as 2 years ago he had been inclined to the impersonal school of thought, but by very carefully studying various Vaishnava works, and especially Srila Prabhupada's books, he was now convinced that devotion to the Supreme Lord Krishna is the highest understanding. The devotees all cheered at his pronouncement, and Prabhupada was also very pleased. It is clear that despite Dr. Patel's habit of challenging, albeit good-naturedly, and his tendency to carry his own opinion, he has actually become Srila Prabhupada's follower. Prabhupada recalled that his teacher at school used to say that if a boy is slow to understand, he will also be slow to forget, and a boy who is quick to understand will be quick to forget. He declared that Dr. Patel has been slow in learning, but now he will not forget. They also talked briefly about the present government of India and Prime Minister, Mrs. Gandhi's declaration of a state of emergency. People are unhappy with her, but with thousands of her political opponents jailed, everyone is afraid to speak. Dr. Patel criticized her dictatorial attitude, but Srila Prabhupada, who often refers to democracy as, quote, demon crazy, said that if sinful people vote in a sinful government, why complain? Apart from that, he explained that having a dictator is not bad if the dictator is actually religious. Then there's no need of elections. Dr. Patel sarcastically noted that Mrs. Gandhi went to the temples, but liberal-minded Prabhupada chose to see the good in her, as he did with Dr. Patel. No, she has got the tendency of spiritual life, and she requires improvement, that's all. She has spoken in Chandigarh, now we require spiritualism. Pass to the next.
Antramata.
Since we are due to leave for Kolkata for early afternoon flight, Prabhupada took his message at 9:30 a.m. and his lunch at 11:45 a.m. Tamal Krishna came in with the mail, holding 2 letters from Rameshwara. One has a BBT report and other a letter written on behalf of the Los Angeles community. Written on the December 18th, the BBT report included details of the previous day's book distribution from the Atlanta airport. Astounding figures establishing a new one-day record. Tripurari Swami and his party sold 29 hardbound books, with Charu Deshna topping the list with 303 books sold. 15 other men sold over 100 each. Rameshwara also enclosed copies of a new publication. The Krishna Consciousness Movement is authorized. The pamphlet explains the basic concepts of the movement, quoting favorable statements from many prominent scholars and book reviews garnered by the library party. The Los Angeles report, dated December 25th, gave a detailed description of their Christmas marathon activities and the results, which were truly amazing. Devotees worked day and night with virtually no rest for entire 6 days, staying out until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and going back out again a few hours later at 6 or 7. Over 100 men and women participated in the marathon, which Tulasi Dasa and Harshapriya Dasa expertly organized. They sold 6,523 big books, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., 419 Krishna trilogies, and 93,031 copies of Back to Godhead magazine. Collections totaled over $60,000.
Gopa Vrindapala.
Gopa Vrindapala sold 529 big books, and 4 women, Jadurani, Mula Prakriti, Dikshavati, and Gauri all sold over 300 each. Mahatma sold over 2,000 BTGs. Needless to say, Srila Prabhupada deeply appreciates the efforts of his disciples to sell his books. He said there is nothing mundane about the great efforts his disciples are making to spread Krishna consciousness on his behalf. He replied with enthusiasm. The book distribution in Los Angeles during the 6-day period is transcendental samadhi. They are working in trance, not on a material platform. No common man can work so hard. It is not possible. Working without sleep means no death. Sleeping is dead condition. Your book distribution is really intoxication. Prabhupada welcomed the printing of the pamphlet, The Krishna Conscious Movement is Authorized. He said it is very important for establishing the authenticity of his movement, especially among the educated and the influential classes of men. Prabhupada is eager to see our Krishna consciousness movement accepted by every sector of society, and the best way to start it from the top. He wrote back with some suggestions how to distribute the pamphlet. You can send important members of the government, businessmen, entertainers, sportsmen, etc. Another device is that you can address it to any respectable gentleman, post office, city, state. The postman will then deliver it to some respectable gentleman. Everyone who gets it will think, I am a most respectable gentleman because he has given it to me. The best thing is to find out the customers list to some big magazines like Time or Life and post it to them.
Okay, Shavik Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. We left on time, flying out to Calcutta at 2 p.m. At the outset of the journey, Prabhupada entrusted his soft red attache case to my case. The case holds all his important documents, and either he or his secretary generally carries it. Since the secretary is now changing every month and I am a regular member of the traveling party, Prabhupada added his guardianship to my duties. I felt privileged to be entrusted with this responsibility, and I sat next to him on the plane with the case carefully tucked under the seat in front of me. After some time, the Prabhupada got up to go to the bathroom. I rose to escort him down the SB and picked up the case, not wanting to leave it unattended. Prabhupada shook his head with slightly amused disbelief. Obviously, no thief could make of it a bag while we were flying 30,000 feet in the air. Apart from that, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was in the opposite express seat. Prabhupada chuckled while I blushed and replaced the bag under the seat. In mid-flight, the captain came back to visit Prabhupada and sat next to him while they talked. He was very polite and respectful, expressing his admiration for Prabhupada's preaching work. He invited Prabhupada into the cockpit, offering him a seat behind his own. Somehow, Tamaru Krishna and Harikesha also managed to squeeze in, and all three of them remained in the cabin as the plane landed at Dum Airport. They came out smiling. Prabhupada enjoyed the experience. He said that in principle, flying a plane is like typing, a mechanical skill. Once you know the procedures and which dials to look at, it becomes easy to master. Sudama, Jayapataka, and Siddhara Swamis and other devotees met us at the airport. Rather than going straight to the temple, Prabhupada first went to inspect a flat he is thinking of purchasing for his former family members. Then he travelled to the temple in our own bus. ISKCON Sri Radha Govinda Mandir, CEA, Albert Road, Calcutta 17. ISKCON Calcutta is situated in a large, old, two-story, semi-detached building built during the time of the British Raj in what was once the European Quarter. Although at one time it was rather impressive architecturally with an arched entrance and an upper veranda adorned with large capped columns, it has become quite dilapidated over the years. ISKCON occupies only the top floor on one side. The temple overlooks some public gardens and a lake bordering Albert Road. At times, the devotees have to bath in the lake because there often is no water. Prabhupada climbed the wide interior stairway and, removing his shoes, entered the only large room in the place, is now converted into a temple room. He offered his obeisances to the preceding deities, Sri Radha Govinda and their lordships Jagannath, Balaram, and Subhadra. Then, without giving an arrival speech, he went out along the wide front veranda to his room at the end. This room is kept exclusively for his use, but the devotees use the small adjoining bathroom when he is away. Overall, the building is not impressive, but Prabhupada wants to keep it because its location is close to the central business district. I looked through the back rooms for somewhere to stay without success. There are only a few cramped rooms allocated for deity paraphernalia, the brahmachari ashram, some storage facilities for books, and, and access to the roof. I noticed that the cooking is done on coal-fired buckets on a small pot in the rear, which accounts for the soot and green everything in the area. Is no lit, uh, there is so little extra space that Tamal Krishna Maharaj decided to set up an office right outside Prabhupada's door on the veranda. While I moved into the life membership room at the opposite end, Prabhupada is not at all pleased with the current state of affairs, for the standard of the temple management has de- deteriorated. Reports have been submitted that many life members are upset with the state of things and in their dealings with the temple president Dasa. He only recently replaced the long-standing president Gargamuni Swami, but in unable to cope very well with the service. Siddhar Swami from Bombay is here now and has been requested to take over the responsibility, but he also is not keen on management. Hare Krishna. Next one.
Hare Krishna, anyone wants to read? Okay.
Okay. I go, nobody raised their hand. I go second round.
Okay.
Prabhupada settled in quickly, immediately engaged Jayapataka and stood up in conversation about our center, sitting nicely there. Land on some 350 feet in height, and Prabhupada instruct Jayapataka to buy more land. Devotees have purchased an ocean-going boat capable of sailing to Orissa and intend to install Gorantai deities on board. Jayapataka reported that a small Bengali book called Gitagan, which the Prabhupada wrote before going to the West in 1965, is now in print and selling many copies. Containing all the Gita verses in Bengali prose, it was written in such a way that no one could misinterpret the meaning. Prabhupada was very pleased to hear that all the Mayapur Gurukula children are studying it and learning to chant the verses. Smiling, he recalled how his godbrothers used to call him Kavi, poet, and that even at school he would write English verse. Dharma Ketre, Guru Ketre, Hoya Eketre. That's the first verse of the Gita Gun. It was the first book I distributed when I come to India, that we went out and distribute everywhere. I remember. Anyway, halfway through the conversation, Srila Prabhupada sent Sudama Swami to the kitchen to cook some samosas. He also told him how to make a quick chutney from chopped tomatoes, green chili, and lemon juice. Sudama did all very expertly. Sudama Maharaj was only recently returned after falling away from his spiritual practices for some time. When he left the room, Prabhupada, obviously pleased with his eagerness to serve, said he was a nice boy who was being misled. He was exceedingly happy to see him back and enthusiastically engaged in devotional service. January 13, 1976. Today was Ekadasi, and Srila Prabhupada took this morning walk along the Ganga. Hundreds of pilgrims were taking a dawn bath there, having come for the Ganga Sagara Mela. Prabhupada explained that Sagara means the sea, so the Mela is a spiritual gathering on an island in the Ganga's estuary. Evidently, eager pilgrims that traveling from as far as Rajasthan in the northeast west, they camped along the banks of Mother Ganga, washing their few possessions as well as themselves in the holy waters, and mindful of the boats and other river traffic passing by. They sat contentedly in the pathways, cooking breakfast and drying out their clothing. Noting the shiny lota one man carried, Prabhupada remarked that even if the lota is so clean, one can understand how clean the person must personally be. Prabhupada also recalled how he and his mother had bathed in the same spot when he was a child. Okay, we can go next.
Okay, Prabhuji, because it was Ekadashi, we skipped breakfast and fast until noon. But at lunchtime, the devotees inadvertently broke the Ekadashi vow because the cook accidentally put peas into the vegetable. So no one noticed until too late. Fortunately, I arrived late for lunch because I had been massaging Srila Prabhupada. Just as I was about to eat, Jayapataka Maharaj shouted for me to stop. Although initially annoyed at being told not to eat, I was relieved when he pointed out the peas. Shamefaced Tamal Krishna Maharaj went to Prabhupada to report what had happened and to find out what should be done. Srila Prabhupada told us we were all nonsense. He angrily rebunked us. Now you have to fast for 3 days. This shocked everyone. Yes, that is the procedure. He confirmed. Seeing the stunned look on our faces, he relented but said that we should observe Ekadashi for the rest of the day and then again tomorrow on Dwadashi. During the morning, Srila Prabhupada noticed I was limping because of a boil forming on my leg. Later, while talking with Jayapataka Maharaj, he called me in and told me to show him the boil. Anamika. Prabhupada was so thoughtful that he asked Jayapataka to go out and buy some medicine to heal the boil. I was somewhat embarrassed that a sannyasi should be running an errand on my behalf. But Prabhupada was more concerned to see that it was cured. Like a loving father, he always takes time to see that we are properly looked after, especially concerning our health. In the evening, Prabhupada spoke in Hindi and Bengali to the large crowd that packed the temple room. The darshanas seemed especially sweet and enjoyable because Srila Prabhupada in the local Calcutta success story, although Prabhupada always remained wholly transcendental in consciousness, he is fully familiar with the surroundings and cultural idiosyncrasies of Bengal. There thus seemed a special rapport between him and the audience as he preached on the necessity of becoming Krishna conscious. January 14, 1976, Prabhupada took his walk along the Ganga again. Although it was early morning, hundreds of people lined in the river bank bathing, doing puja and washing clothes. Srila Prabhupada commented on the simplicity of village life and the importance of the Ganges. Many people have came to the Mela for spiritual purification, carrying only a few simple possessions. Everywhere dhotis and saris hung on fences or were spread out on the ground to dry, their owners sitting on a squatting nearby, patiently waiting. Prabhupada remarked that even if they only have one piece of cloth, they will not fail to wash it every day. That is Vedic culture. After breakfast, Prasadam, Prabhupada and I went to see an apartment at Park Circus. He is thinking of purchasing it for his son and daughter, who met us there. Prabhupada didn't say very much to them, and after a few minutes, we returned to the temple. About 12:30 p.m. during his massage, which he took sitting on mat in a little patch of sunlight on the bathroom floor, Tamal Krishna Goswami came to report on a visit he and Jayapataka Swami had just made to the Sri Chaitanya Matha. They had talked with Madhava Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother, showing him Prabhupada's translation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. They asked if Prabhupada's book could be displayed there during a current 5-day festival that Matha was holding. But Madhava Maharaj only gave them excuses why it was not possible, as they were leaving the Math. Tamal Krishna and Jayapataka stopped to talk with the secretary. He appeared interested and friendly, and he inquired about the books. The secretary said that he felt they should follow our example in preaching, but were tied up too much in routine temple maintenance work. Looking over their advertising brochure, Prabhupada noticed that the invited speaker include no sannyasis or spiritual personalities. They were simply government minister and the like. Whereas for us, Srila Prabhupada's book are the main feature of our preaching work. He noted that after 40 years, the Gaudiya Math is still selling Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati's book. He was critical that they had not been able to produce any literature of their own. He said that many of his brothers were envious of his success. He specifically named three of them. Prabhupada comments show that he has learned not to expect anything from them. He told us we should avoid dealing with them. He said that rather than help, they will simply attempt to spoil our work. Madhu Dvisa Swami arrived from Australia in the afternoon. He is taking a break from management and intends to stay with Prabhupada for a few weeks to bathe in the nectar of his association. He reported that Rath Yatra in Melbourne was successfully executed. Although the devotees were disappointed that Srila Prabhupada could not attend, he showed Prabhupada some favorable press report and told him that the Australian devotees are enthusiastically pu- pushing forward the movement there. He also gave him a large donation of $10,000 for Guru Dakshina. Okay, Prabhuji, shall we stop here?
Stop reading. That's the hour.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
You are our Senapatini. Okay, thank you everybody so much. And what we stopped anyway, what did we stop? We stopped in January 6th, right? Yeah. I was just involved in listening. I forgot to mark the time.
January 14.
14, okay. 14. All right. So we catch up in the next week. Okay. So you all don't miss the podcast in the Sunday. No, you'll be there. Guy Goranga. Thank you, Dan. And we go from Thank you so much, Hare Krishna. Special Hare Krishna to Keshavi Subhangi Devi Dasi. Beautiful name. Thank you so much, you all. Hare Krishna. Take care. Let me see how I can go here.